again. This is Samantha Jellison of Securely Insured, and this is Medicare on the Mind. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what is known as the Medicare Savings Program. And this program is targeted for people who are on the lower income spectrum. And basically what it does is it helps to offset some of the costs associated with your Part B, possibly Part A premium. Not everyone qualifies for premium-free Part A. So it's important to know what's available to you, and we'll get started. Okay, so the Medicare Savings Program, and this may go by different names in other states, this is a state-administered program, and it's usually managed by Medicaid. Now, I am located in North Carolina. In other states, it may be referred to as a different program. It may be run by a different entity. Not everywhere it's called Medicaid. I know in other states they have different names for it, but for the sake of simplicity and just trying to get the point across, we're just going to fluidly call this Medicaid. And it's the amounts that will qualify you for this program are also going to differ state to state. There is a very large region within the United States that does refer to this as Medicaid and does go by what is known as the federal poverty level. But there are, just to be clear, other states with different income and resource requirements. Okay, so this program is here to assist people with lower incomes with the costs under both Medicare Part A and Part B. And to qualify, individuals typically need to have Medicare Part A and meet income and asset limits. Again, this will differ state to state, and it changes each year because the federal poverty level chart also usually increases each year. So asset limits and excuse me, asset limits and monthly income, annual income, those limits also change each year. And the biggest thing to know about when you apply for this program is that you do have to apply for it yearly. There are certain levels or tiers, as I like to call them, of this program where it is in your best interest to apply early because they one specific one does run out of available funds, so it is a first come first serve level. However, just to talk a little bit about what those levels are and what they mean and how they help you pay, we'll just dive in real quick. So the top level is going to be called Full Benefits Dual Eligible, and I'm going to just abbreviate these. Full Benefits Dual Eligible is full Medicaid. And what that means is that it usually will pay, if you don't qualify for a premium-free Part A, it usually picks up the cost of that, and it also picks up the cost of your Part B premium, and as well covers if you were to be in what we call a DSNP. I'm going to actually make a little note about that here. DSNPs, or these are special needs plans for dual eligibles. They usually come in the form of a Medicare Advantage plan where there usually is no cost share for the beneficiary, and they if you are, and we will get into this because it is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to marketing for for Medicare in general. You might be seeing quite a few ads regarding free food cards and all these additional benefits that you might be missing out on. These ads are typically targeted for people who are qualified for DSNP programs, and they do come with with an extensive amount of additional benefits, but not everyone qualifies for them. Therefore, when you see an ad saying, you might qualify for, I don't know, a $2,500 food card, which, believe me, they're out there. Chances are, if you don't qualify for the Medicare Savings Program, you're not going to qualify for that specific Medicare Advantage plan. And I will get into that much deeper because I do think that people need to be protected against this predatory, targeted marketing. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So, full benefits dual eligible, like I said, you will usually have your Part A and Part B covered. You will usually have your co-pays, your co-insurance, and your deductibles covered. So it typically does not cost the beneficiary anything. You may be billed very slight amounts by Medicaid because the way the program works is we know that original Medicare pays that 80% of your medical costs, and whatever plan that you choose outside of that, be it a supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, is there to help offset the other 20%. These programs work with Medicaid to cover those additional costs that most people would be paying, like your co-payments and your co-insurance and your deductibles, depending on whatever additional plan you choose outside of original Medicare. Moving on, and I will try to color code this as best I can. Let's just separate this. And let's do, I guess, this color. That will work. Next would be the QMB, and that is going to be for qualified Medicare beneficiaries. And in some states, I have seen this just as QMB, and then there is an additional tier of QMB plus. And that is going to vary state to state, and it really just reflects on how much your Medicare savings program is being covered. And with QMB, the typical single person would qualify for something like this if they made around $1,300 to $1,325 per month, or less. What this covers is usually your Part A and B, payments, premium payments, and it covers most copays, if not all, deductibles and coinsurance. Let's see. The other thing to note here before we move on is that there's, on top of a monthly or annual income limit that you would have to qualify for this, each of these also has resource limits. And that means money you might have in savings, money you might have in life insurance policies, resources such as additional cars, because typically they do not count your place of residence, so owning a home, one vehicle and certain assets such as a wedding ring. Otherwise, they do look at all that is included in your assets, and if you make a lower monthly income but you have a higher amount of assets, then you might not qualify for this program, and that is important to note. And those are going to vary state to state as well. The next one down, which I will, let's see, let's go with a nice orange, is going to be SLMB, and that is your specified low-income Medicare beneficiary. You make slightly higher per month. I believe it is around $1,585 or less. And what this covers is your Part B premium. And it also typically does not cover your co-payments, your co-insurance, your deductibles. So even if you were to qualify based on this for a DSNP Medicare Advantage plan, you would still have cost share. You might be able to reap some of the benefits of, let's say, a high monthly food allowance, but you would have co-payments when you went to see the doctor. That's probably the best way to describe that. And then the next one down, let's go with, purple, is going to be QI. Now, this is also known as qualifying individual. And what this covers is either all or part of your Part B premium. And they might reduce it, they might cover all of it, but here is where we mentioned earlier that this program specifically is what is known as first come, first serve, and it does have a higher income limit. It is around $1,781 per month, but again, it is in your best interest to apply for this as early as possible, as this program is known to run out of funds, so that is why it is first come, first serve. But it can be very beneficial to somebody who is having issues paying that Part B premium. We all know costs for everything go up every year, not just with Medicare, but with, daily cost of living. And somebody that lives on an income of below $1,800 may be struggling. That is why this program is there. And then finally, the last level is, let's pick a blue, is QDWI, also known as, and you know what, I never put Part B here. This is a program for qualified disabled working individuals, and what it is it's for people who have been on disability but have decided to go back to work. And what this covers is your Part A, if you don't have enough qualifying credits to receive premium-free Part A. And it basically is allowing you, it is buying you the time to attain those credits in order to qualify for premium-free Part A. I believe the program typically runs about 93 months, so you get a substantial amount of time to get the qualifying credits in order to fully get premium-free Part A. And that's pretty much the Medicare Savings Program in a nutshell. However, I do want to make one more note here, and we will get into a whole other video on this topic, but this is really just there to help pay for your Medicare Parts A and B, A or B. It does not reflect on Part D. There is actually a whole separate program called Low Income Subsidy, or LIS, or Extra Help Program, and that is only targeted towards Part D and helping pay for prescriptions and premiums for standalone Part D plans. That is a whole other video that we will dive into, but for today, that sums up the Medicare Savings Program. This is not all-inclusive, like I said. This is just a very baseline idea of what the Medicare Savings Program entails, how it can help people who may be struggling financially and are having trouble paying for their Part A or Part B or Part A and B premiums. And the way that you would apply for something like this is actually going to be through your local Medicaid office. There is a form that you can download on ssa.gov, or you can work with a local certified Medicare broker who is well versed in something like this, and they can help you fill out that form and apply. Usually it's easy enough just to fill the form out, send it to the local Medicaid office, DSS office, what have you, and you usually do hear back within about 45 days, although it can take a little longer, but it never hurts to apply, even if you are on the cusp of or the threshold of those income requirements, because it can be a very beneficial program. This is Samantha Jellison of Securely Insured, and this is Medicare on the Mind. I hope you have a great day.